So many people ask the question when they want to live a life of meaning, how can I do it when I'm around so many people who are operating at lower levels? You've missed the point if you're asking yourself that question. If you're living with somebody, a spouse, for example, family members, people that you work with, neighbors and so on, who are living at lower levels of energy than you cannot be dragged down by their low energy. That's not possible. That's not how the universe works. The reason that you feel dragged down is because you join them in their energy. You become within yourself what they are. In other words, the sentence, "You make me angry, you make me depressed by your behavior," really says that I see your depression, I see your anger, I see your hatred, I see your prejudice, and I'll have some of that too, and I'll hate you for hating me. And I'll be angry at you for being angry at me. Or being around you so depresses me because you're so depressing that you cause me to be depressed. That isn't the case at all. It's because that person's depression is something you decide you'll align with. Now, if you take the reverse, if you take Jesus, who would walk amongst the prostitutes and would walk amongst the thieves, he didn't say, I'm not going to go over there and talk to those thieves. They took my sandals the last time. I'm not having that happen to me again. It's not, and I don't want to be around those hookers because, they're going to be tempting and so on. He didn't do that. When he would walk among the thieves would no longer want to steal. Don't you remember on Golgotha? At the crucifixion? He was between two thieves. Both of them were redeemed by being in his presence. Even the least among you can do all that I have done, and even greater. That's where you have to be. You have to be in a place, and remember that no amount of your depression is going to undepress somebody else. See, mothers know this. I watch this with the mother of my children, Marcy, a woman I love very, very much. And I would watch her in the middle of the night. I would be laying over here and she'd be here and the baby would cry. And instead of her saying, like so many people speak about, that crying really just upsets me and it really upsets her. Why do you keep crying? It's like, you're just doing it. You're upsetting me. You're making me upset. She didn't do any of that. She didn't say that babies crying would make me depressed. What she would say is, I will bring my high energy of love and healing and feeding to you, and this will help you to raise your level of happiness. And it always worked. For me, a surly waiter is a wonderful challenge. My kids will tell you that. If I get somebody in there and you can tell that they're in a hurry, they're not going to be a little bit rude, they've been rushed and all of that, I know I can turn this person around. And I'll even make it a contest. Say, just watch. It's going to happen. I'm going to get this person turned around. And all you have to do is say to them, I know you're having a tough time tonight and you probably didn't want to have any more, but I said, you are so lucky tonight. You got somebody who came here to make your life as good as I can possibly make it tonight. Is there anything I can do to make this waiting experience happy for you? What's your name? Where'd you come from? You have an accent? What is it like for where you live? And within minutes of just elevating my awareness and being happy and letting them know that this is going to be a pleasant experience for them. And I do this, before you know it, they're bringing you free desserts. We don't have to pay for anything. Here's a complimentary pass. Come the next time. By the way, my mother works over at this place. Would you like to get a massage? Those kinds of things happen all the time. When you get your ego out of the way, when you dissolve your connection to this gross worldly world of conflict, and begin to just say, I can turn this around. The lady who cleans the toilets. Now, to me, anybody who in my life cleans toilets for me and changes my bedding and makes my room nice, that's an angel. That's not somebody that I deserve to disrespect. That's an angel who's come in and willing to serve me and work for very little. That's always, for me, that's $100. I seek her out and I just say, I just appreciate you. And I do this before I go to sleep. I do this before I even take the room. And it's just, a $100 bill to me is a piece of paper. For her, and it isn't even what it does for her financially. It's like what you do is you take people that she looked surly, she looked angry, she looked like she didn't want to be in there, she looked like just another, like white howlie in here who's I've got to deal with. She was a lady from Mexico, and she just looked like she didn't. And when I just took her over and I put my arm around her, I said, you know what? I am so happy that you are here to help and serve me, and I just want to express my gratitude to you. You can take every incident of people who are operating at levels that you know keep them tied and connected to the gross worldly realm, and you can shift it. You can shift it. Because you practice a life of meaning is one in which you elevate your awareness to such a place that no matter who enters this realm, if they don't come with love, they don't get in. They don't get in. Inside of this shell of a body, this shell, this thing that I live in, inside here is my inner organs. And inside of those organs is an invisible intelligence. And inside there, in this little chamber inside of me, there's a sign that says, do not enter unless you come with love. So you can insult my body. You can be angry. You can even do things to my insides. But in here, where I live, do not attempt to enter unless you come with love. That's all I have in there. And you can do this. Our total awareness of who we are is called our concept of ourself. And our concept of ourself is everything that we believe to be true. That everything that you believe true got you to this place. And if you want to get to this place, this extraordinary level of consciousness, you have to do something that Saint Germain says only a handful of people are capable of doing. You must be willing to change your concept of yourself. You must be willing to change what you believe to be true. That is, what is possible or not possible for you. We have a tendency to just attribute things to like science. We'll say, well, science tells us, and if it's not scientific, if there's not evidence for it, you have to take and understand that everything that we have scientific evidence for has been studied by a brain that is studying a brain. And what we have to do is get to a place of awareness in which we're beyond the brain. And the brain can't do this. The brain can't be objective enough to figure out things because the brain is linear. The brain believes in cause and effect and beginnings and ends and what you can see and what you can touch. So now what we have to do is get to a different place within ourselves. And in Man's Search for Meaning, which is required reading, if you're watching this on video, if you're listening today, you really should read Man's Search for Meaning. It really talks about how people were able to survive by just having meaning in their lives. Our need to have meaning in our lives comes from the necessity that we have within us to reach an exalted level of consciousness. We have to be able to change our concept of ourself. And changing your concept of yourself will be the biggest challenge you've ever had in your life. Because you have to change things that you have been told are true, and they're not. We have all been led to believe a lie. When we see with, not through the eye, we've been led to believe a lie. We've been led to believe that who we are is incapable of fulfilling a destiny, a dharma, and doing things that we thought were absolutely impossible. I have a quote here, I think. In order to reach the truth, this is from a French philosopher named René Descartes, in order to reach the truth, it is necessary at some point in one's life to rid oneself of all of the opinions one has received and to rebuild one's entire system of knowledge from the very foundations. René Descartes. I wrote this out 2 days ago, or 2 months ago. If there is intelligence behind life, and there is every reason to believe that there must be, then all of that intelligence is innate in each creation of that intelligence. Thus, universal mind, or the higher self, is complete and entire within each of us. We have only to discover it for its power and perfection for it to be ours. So, again, if there is intelligence behind life, and we all know that there is, then that intelligence that is behind life is innate in each creation of that intelligence. If you come from that intelligence must be in you. So God must be in you, or whatever you want to call that, the divine mind, God, Tao, spirit, consciousness, higher consciousness. When you begin to recognize that that spark can grow to become you, and we haven't been trained to believe that, and I don't know why. Why weren't we raised to believe that we are God? Jesus says it in John 10:34, as he's about to be stoned. Why would you stone me? You are a man and you claim to be God. Is it not written in your laws that I have said, you are God? Those are right out of the words of Jesus. It's right in there. You could look it up. St. Paul in Philippians, have in you the same mind as Christ Jesus, who being in the form of God, did not consider it robbery to be equal with God. Go to Psalms 82 in the Old Testament. You are all children of the Most High. Ye are all gods. It's all over the scriptures. It's in the Quran. It's in the Bhagavad Gita. It's in all of the holy books. God and you are one. You must be like what you came from. As you change your thought patterns to raise your energy vibrations and reduce the demands of your ego, you'll begin developing a reverent or holy relationship with others. Then everyone is perceived as complete. When you can celebrate differences in others as interesting or enjoyable, you're loosening your identity with ego. The holy relationship is a way of matching up with the universal source of creation and being peacefully joyful. Any relationship, or even an encounter, from the holy perspective, is a coming together with the beloved self aspect and discovering a stimulating connection with the power of intention. I urge you to establish a holy relationship with your source, the world community, your neighbors, acquaintances, family, the animal kingdom, our planet, and yourself as well, and you'll enjoy the power of intention through holy relationships. It's all about relationship. What follows is my opinion on how you'll impact others when you're resonating with intention, and how different your impact is when you're dominated by your ego's separatist attitude. Here are some of the most significant ways in which you will find yourself impacting others. Your presence instills calmness. When you coincide with intention, your impact on others has a calming influence. People tend to feel more at peace, less threatened, and more at ease. The power of intention is the power of love and receptivity. It asks nothing of anyone, it judges no one, and it encourages others to be free to be themselves. As people feel calmer in your presence, they're inclined to feel safe by virtue of the energy frequencies that you radiate. Their feelings are encouraged by your energy of love and receptivity, causing them to want to reach out and be with you. As Walt Whitman put it, we convince by our presence. You'll find that your presence leaves others feeling energized when you're connected to intention. When you bring the frequencies of intention into the presence of others, they'll feel energized just by being in your immediate circle. You don't have to say a word. You don't have to act in any prescribed fashion. Your energy of intention alone will make others in your field feel as if they've mysteriously been empowered in some way. As you begin consciously expressing the 7 faces of intention, you'll discover that others begin to comment on the impact you're making on them. They'll want to assist you in fulfilling your own dreams. They'll be energized and volunteer to help you. They'll even begin to offer to finance your dreams with their energized new ideas. Your presence also allows others to feel better about themselves. Have you ever noticed when you're in the presence of certain people that you feel better about yourself? Their compassionate energy has the noticeably pleasant impact of simply making you feel really good about yourself. You'll impact others with this energy of compassion as you develop your connection to intention.
On the contrary, being in the company of someone who's disdainful or indifferent impacts you quite differently. If this is the low energy you transmit to others, they're quite likely to depart the encounter feeling less than wonderful about themselves. Moreover, it leaves others feeling as if they're insignificant or unimportant, and obviously feeling worse about themselves when it's a repeated pattern in a significant relationship. Your presence allows others to feel unified. The effect of being in the presence of people expressing high frequencies is to feel unified and connected to all of nature, all of humankind, and to intention. As you raise your frequencies, your impact on others invites them to be on the same team. You are unified and want to assist each other in the fulfillment of a common objective. Your presence also instills a sense of purpose in others. When you're in the higher spiritual energies, you bring something to others that's almost inexplicable. Your presence and behavior from a space of love and acceptance, non-judgment and kindness, becomes a catalyst for others feeling on purpose in their lives. By staying at the higher energies of optimism, forgiveness, understanding, reverence for spirit, creativity, serenity, and bliss, you radiate this kind of energy and convert lower energies to your higher vibrations. These people whom you so non-deliberately impact begin to feel your quiet reverence and serenity. Your own purpose, which revolves around serving others and therefore serving God, becomes fulfilled. And as a bonus, you've created allies who will want to help you with your intentions. Your presence allows others to trust in authentic personal connections. By bringing the traits of intention to others, you allow trust to be present. You'll notice both an inclination and a willingness on the part of others to open up and confide in you. This is related to the quality of trust. In the atmosphere of higher energy, people trust and want to share their personal stories with you. By being so connected to intention, you are more godlike. And who would you trust more than God to share your secrets with? The opposite results are apparent when you emit the lower energy frequencies. Why? Because your low energies help to create a counterforce. Conflict erupts, winners and losers are necessary, and enemies automatically are created. All because of your unwillingness to stay connected to the faces of intention. Your presence inspires others to greatness. When you're connected to spirit and quietly reflect this consciousness, you become a source of inspiration to others. In a sense, this is one of the most powerful effects that connecting to intention transmits to others. The word inspiration means in spirit. The fact that you're primarily in spirit means that you inspire rather than inform with your presence. You won't inspire others by loudly insisting or demanding that others listen to your point of view. Your presence actually aligns others with beauty. When you're connected to intention, you see beauty everywhere and in everything because you're radiating the quality of beauty. Your perceptual world changes dramatically. At the higher energy of intent, you see beauty in everyone, young or old, rich or poor, dark or light, with no distinctions. Everything is perceived from a perspective of appreciation rather than judgment.
Make no mistake about it that every emotion you experience in your life is a choice. Not that they're bad. Emotions are wonderful. But if any emotion you experience in your life is immobilizing, keeping you from being where you want to be, keeping you from your purpose, from your mission, from your joy in life. And don't forget that the major purpose of life is to enjoy it. Look, if you learn how to enjoy your life, every moment you have, even the rotten ones, if you can do that, do you understand that you can never be a burden to anyone else? Isn't that the least selfish thing you can do? Isn't that the most glorious and graceful and loving thing you can do, is never be anybody else's burden? That's not selfish to know how to enjoy your life. It's selfless. It's not putting other people down at your expense or anybody else's expense or elevating yourself up to make others look. It's nothing like that. There is only one morality in the universe. Every human being has a right to live their life as they choose to live it, as long as they don't interfere with anyone else's right to do the same.
See, you can image anything for yourself. You can visualize for yourself. You can never visualize for other people to be different than they are. You don't have that kind of capacity, all right? Each person's karma is their own. Each person's life is their own to live. You cannot say, I'm going to image you doing this for me. And if you don't, then I'm going to be happy. What you can say is, I am going to have an image of myself not being upset when you don't do the things that I want you to do, that I would like it better if you did. When you get that image inside of you, then if they do it, that's terrific. And if they don't, you don't look at that as not terrific. You look at that as where they are right now. And Robert Frost had a wonderful definition of love. He said that we love the things we love for what they are. And that same thing goes for people, for what they are, not for what I would like them to be. And we don't alter or want to alter the things we love. You love it for what it is, rather than what it can do for you. Same with your children.
I have spent the last 10 months of my life almost exclusively in working on a book that will be out in the fall called What Do You Really Want for Your Children? And it's about applying the principles of all of my books to the raising of children. And I think about what is important. What is it that we want for our children? One of the things that I want for my children, for all the children of our world, which I think of them all as mine, I think we're all one, we're all in this thing together, is for them to grow up believing that they have a choice. You know, I have 5 children, and it's rare to see my children fight. They haven't been grown up on fighting. They have never had fighting reinforced as something that is only normal and kids only fight. They've always had a kind of a belief system that it's not normal to fight and be angry and to hate each other, and that those impulses are things that we can learn to tame and not have, because fighting and anguish and pain and despair are things that bring us down and kind of destroy our lives. My children have grown up with the different attitudes about almost everything. But one of the things they are is full of love. When my daughter was in the 2nd grade, she came home and she said, "Billy doesn't like me. Billy doesn't like me." She was all upset about that. I said, "I understand that. This is Billy's day. It's one of the things Billy does on Tuesdays. Do you like you?" "Oh yeah, of course I like me." I said, "Well, that's all you've got." She'd go away, and she was used to her daddy talking to her weird like this. So many other daddies and mommies in the neighborhood say, "Oh my goodness, what can we do to get Billy to like you? Let's see, maybe we'll give him some money. You know, maybe we'll let him play with your sandbox, or maybe we'll do whatever we can." You see, even at 2, a child doesn't have to learn that Billy's behavior toward her ought to be anything that brings her down. Do you understand that every moment in your life that you spend upset, despaired, anguished, angry, hurt because of the behavior of anybody else in your life is a moment in which you have given up control of your life? Is a moment in which you have said to the people in your world, "What you think of me is more important than what I think of myself. And so I will do whatever I have to do to get you to like me." Instead of, I will fill myself with love, and I will send that out into the world. And those that accept it, that's wonderful. And those that don't, that just happens to be where they are now. There is a karma to this planet that I'm only beginning to understand. But one thing I know is that when I put responsibility on me for my suffering, for my pain, for my difficulty, and when I send out love as my reaction to anybody else's anguish, that I get it back.
Have you ever wanted to change some facet of your personality, but another part of you insisted that this is impossible because your genetic program is responsible for how you think, feel, and behave? That latter part of you believes in biologically determined unhappy genes, or shy genes, or fat genes, and bad luck genes, among many others. Due to your luck of the draw, it will tell you you have a set of misery genes, along with a sizable cachet of weight-gaining genes, if those are the aspects you want to change. This part means to be helpful, but while it probably wants to protect you from the disappointment of failure, it keeps you stuck in an excuse-driven life. Using the excuse of genetic programming not to do anything about the personal characteristics that you dislike is popular and clearly acceptable in today's culture. So with the aforementioned genetic predisposition as an excuse, living in a constant or unnecessary terror might be excused as an overabundance of fear cells emanating from microscopic strands of DNA attached to your biological originating cellular structure, and you're stuck with it. Thus, a formidable excuse is formulated. No wonder a part of you gets indignant when you attempt to be brave, since it believes, I can't change my biology. A sense of powerlessness ensues when it comes to altering anything about yourself that has become so established that it feels like who you really are. This is particularly true when you observe traits and characteristics that have been with you for as long as you can recall. As if to further cement the idea that you've always been this way into your total worldview, the limiting part of you asserts, there's nothing that can be done about it. After all, I can't change my basic biology. Excuse me. Thanks to the principles I share in this program, you most certainly can. The belief that we cannot change our biology is beginning to be challenged by scientific scholars engaged in cell biology research. It seems that humans do have the ability to change and even reverse some of their genetic blueprints. Openness and curiosity, along with a desire to be free from excuses, are the basic prerequisites for learning about the exciting evidence concerning genetic predisposition. One of the pioneers of the new way of understanding DNA, Bruce Lipton, Ph.D., is a cell biologist who taught medical students before resigning to do research and lecture full-time. In a groundbreaking book called The Biology of Belief, Lipton writes that life is not controlled by genes. In fact, his research led him to the conclusion that they're strictly blueprints. The invisible, formless energy that constitutes the gene's environment is the architect that turns the blueprint into this mystery we call life. Even more astonishing is Lipton's understanding that our personal belief systems, including our perceptions, have the capacity to trump our genetic inheritance and our cellular DNA. It's possible to influence the infinitesimally tiny particles we've come to believe are the ultimate determiners of our lives. That is, when we change the way we think and learn new ways of perceiving, we can actually change our DNA. In other words, you can impact and alter your genetic structure by modifying how you see yourself and your place in this glorious mystery called life. Your perceptions have the power to change your genetic makeup. Your beliefs can and do control your biology. Now, this may sound radical or even impossible, yet it is this awareness that will lead you to say goodbye to the excuses you've unwittingly adopted. Your beliefs carry far more weight than you realized in determining what you can do, what you'll undertake, and how far you're capable of going.
Treasuring our divinity instead of being terrified of it. Knowing that I am always connected to my source. There is no way that I cannot, because it is in you, and I am in you, and you are in me, and you can never be separated from it. There is no place that this source is not. It grows everybody's fingernails. It beats everybody's hearts. It digests everybody's foods. It opens all the flowers. And you're always connected to it.
The essence of putting these profound teachings to work in your life. Number 1, be willing to change your concept of yourself, which means changing what you have believed to be true. 2, recognize yourself as always connected to your source of being. 3, become willing to say, I am God, from an egoless perspective. 4, treasure your greatest gift, your imagination. 5, live as if what you desire is already here. 6, assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. 7, never let your attention be directed by anything or anyone other than your own highest self. 8, use the last moments of your day before sleeping to reinforce in your mind your desires as fulfilled. 9, have a mind that is open to all possibilities. And 10, remember always, from the words of Rumi, quote, you were born with potential. You were born with goodness and trust. You were born with ideals and dreams. You were born with greatness. You were born with wings. You are not meant for crawling, so don't. You have wings. Learn to use them and fly. Unquote.
Love and God, love and divine essence, are exactly the same, and they are unconditional. You have to have the same love for God or for this divine essence that it has always had for you. Through the worst of your days, through the lowest points in your life, this love has always been there. It's available to you. You could take it at any time. You're never turned away. And it's a supply that's inexhaustible. You can't exhaust it. You can't make it go away. It is there. So, there is a power in unconditional love that is very difficult for most of us to grasp. I don't know if you've ever been around a being who lives and experiences unconditional love. But when you are, you discover that the energy that they radiate is infectious. Like being in a room with Mother Teresa. Just being in her presence. They said of Jesus, they said of Buddha, that when they would go into a village, just their presence in the village, nothing more, just their presence in the village would change the consciousness of those around them. From the perspective of having this divinity within you, which is a love for what is going to manifest, what happens when you start picturing your world this way is that your life starts to change. What changes is you feel more peaceful. Love and peace, unconditional love and peace, really go hand in hand. And when you get this quality, and what I suggest to you here is that in order to practice this, to understand that you sleep better, you eat better, you automatically begin to take better care of your body. Toxins are no longer that important to you. Exercise becomes something that you just absolutely do because you're treating your body with unconditional love. And it demands that, it encourages that, it wants that. It doesn't want to be dreary, it doesn't want to be overweight, it doesn't want to be drugged up, it doesn't want to be lethargic. It wants to be flowing. Because the universal energy that makes the whole thing work flows. It doesn't stop. That energy isn't stopping. It's not stagnant. It's a flowing. When you start doing these things and these changes start taking place, what happens is also the prosperity that you thought you couldn't have also begins to flow. You've stopped all blockages. And while this just sounds like, oh yeah, but I don't have to do anything, you will do something. You will act upon this unconditional love. It's like go on a program for 3 days. Make a 3-day program in which you are going to communicate with your spouse, your lover, one of your children, a friend, a coworker, a boss, someone that you are close to. And every thought that you are going to have directed at that person is going to be one of unconditional love. No matter how crappy they may act, no matter how much complaining they may do, no matter how much you find them to be irritating or whatever, you are going to respond with unconditional love. Not gushy, oh, isn't that great, you're throwing up on me again. Not that at all. But just the thought, the absence of judgment, the absence of anger, the absence of the ego demand that says, you know, you should really be like I am. You're wrong and I'm right. You just let go of that. Try it for 3 days. A 3-day program of unconditional love. And watch what happens to your energy level. And watch what happens to the things that you want to manifest in your life. And begin to notice how you're sleeping and what the content of your dreams are. And notice how other people begin to treat you. You see, unconditional love is joy and it's also power. There's an enormous power, but it's not the power that is an investment in having power over others. It's a power of being able to tune in finally to the thing that makes the whole universe work. What do you think keeps this whole planet from falling off into an abyss? What do you think it is that keeps your shoulder from falling off? What do you think it is that keeps the cells of your eyeballs in their sockets? There's a force, there's an energy, there's something that is working that keeps everything in place, that makes it all work, that makes it all flow. You finally begin to tune into that. You start to trust your nature more than you trust your intellect, which is your ego. Your nature knows how to work. It knows how to make your body work.
Your nature knows exactly how many nutrients to send to all the different organs of the body. You don't have to think about that every time you eat something. It's working. Your nature knows how much oxygen to take in and how much to let out. You don't need a formula for that. Your intellect says that water there, it can't possibly be made up of 2 parts of hydrogen and 1 part of oxygen. Those are gases. Your intellect says there's no way. But nevertheless it is, isn't it, as we examine it. So your nature works perfectly in perfect harmony, as does everything else that keeps the oceans from tilting on their side and having tidal waves. This nature of yours that you are in, that is in you, that you are not separate from, is flowing. It's perfect. It's unconditional. It doesn't judge. It doesn't ask anything. Be that, and the rest of this will fall right into place. It's astounding how powerful this unconditional love is.
I've come to know that if you unclog yourself, that arteries, you know how arteries get clogged with cholesterol? Well, I think of the soul like that. It's clogging. There's 3 things that clog it up. One is negativity. It clogs you, just like cholesterol will clog your arteries. And when you don't have negativity, that is when you're letting people row their own boat, then you begin to see life completely different than you've ever seen it before. You're not looking for anything to be down. You're not finding fault with other people. Negativity and judgment. These are the 2 biggies. Judgment. Hear this sentence. When you judge another, you do not define them. They are already defined. You define yourself. What else could you be doing? The judgment's coming out of you. It's yours. You're the one who owns it. So every time you judge another human being, find fault with them, find something that you don't like, put them down, whatever, you are not defining them, even though you may think you are, because you're stuck back here in form. When you're transformed, that is when you go beyond form, you see that you've just defined yourself. So now what you do is you practice non-judgmental behavior towards everyone and everything. And you honor the God in all life. You celebrate it. The fat, the skinny, the tall, the short, the dark, the light. Those who choose to believe one way and those who choose to believe another. The minute that you put them down, or anyone does, and then as you become more and more and more enlightened, you know what happens? You see how other people do it and how it's impossible for you to do it anymore. I never look at anything that comes into my life anymore as anything other than just what's supposed to be there. I don't judge it. I don't analyze it. I don't get mad at it. I'm not negative toward it. I just accept it. When you walk through that gate, you never go back again. You never go back to judgment again. I mean, judgment, can you imagine anything more stupid? Imagine going up to a tree and saying, look, you got moss all over you. You should be ashamed of yourself. You're disgusting. Why don't you take care of yourself? All you have to do is treat each other like that. All we have to do is treat each other like you have a right to be who you are and what you are. And wherever you are in your path is exactly where you're supposed to be. All of us. And it's like getting that dualism out of us and understanding that everything in the world is perfect, including your desire to improve it. And that's the paradox. Even the starving people, even the AIDS, even the diseases that are out there, all of that is part of the perfection of it all. Judging it doesn't do any good. Suffering is a part of it, and our desire to end suffering is also a part of it. And you don't have to fight it. You don't have to be in dualism with it. Because in this place where there are no boundaries, where there are no limits, there are none of those things that I just described. And when you have that, that's all you have to give away. And when that's what you give away, that's how you react to everything and everyone. And so you run into people. I don't run into the rude people anymore. They're not in my life anymore. I never see them anymore. You want to try a great exercise? Just try this. The next time you're in an airport and you've got a delay, or a bus station, or wherever you are, just go to a 747 that is unloading, that's full. And everybody that comes off of the plane, try to find something nice about them. No matter who, no matter what they are, no matter how ugly you think they are, No matter how smelly you think they might be, no matter that they're so different from you, don't have that in you. It's like everybody that comes, oh, what a great smile. Oh, look at that lovely person over there. Isn't that a lovely grandmother over there? And not, oh, she's old. Ugh, I don't like those young kids. Ugh, I don't like the way they wear their hair. That's all judgment. All the judgment that you have in your life is clogging you. Judgment, negativity, and imbalance are the things that will clog you. And until you get rid of them, you will never know this level, pure thought. It's a wonderful exercise.
If your thoughts are on what is, let's just say you've got a disease process. Cancer, arthritis, the flu, a cold. If your thoughts are on, if you get a sniffle, and your thoughts are on, this is in my nose today, but tomorrow it'll be in my throat. On Wednesday, it'll be down in my chest. On Thursday, I'll probably have a fever. I'm going to have to take Friday off. Now, it's Monday morning, and you've got a sniffle, and in your mind, you're taking Friday off with a fever. If this is how you have trained your mind to work, to put your attention on the circumstances of your life, self-actualizing people, Abraham Maslow was a great teacher of mine. I was blessed to know him. I was blessed to be one of his devotees. He died on the 14th of June, 1970, in the same hour that I walked across the stage at Cobo Hall in Detroit receiving my PhD. In the same hour. He passed the baton on. He said, I've taught self-actualization to the academic world. Now you take it to the masses. And Maslow said, self-actualizing people are distinguished from everybody else with this sentence: they must be what they can be. They must be what they can be. And one of those 10 secrets for success and inner peace is that you can't solve a problem with the same mind that created it. And know this, that your mind created everything in your life that you call a problem. And self-actualizing, highly functioning people who live at these extremely, extraordinarily high levels of consciousness never put their thoughts on what is if they don't like what is. Because if your thoughts are on what is, and you despise what is, and if you look at poor people, if you look at unsuccessful people, if you look at sickly people, if you look at tired people, if you look at addicted people, you will see people who put their attention constantly on their problems, on what is wrong, on what isn't working, on what I can't do, and so on. They'll tell you about it, they'll focus on it, and when your thoughts are on what is, and what you think about is what expands, you continue to attract more of what is into your life. When I had a practice, I had a woman who came to me who said, I just went through a divorce 7 months ago, and I've been dating, and I've dated 4 different men, and all 4 of them have used me as a sex object. And every single one of them called me up after the first date and were mistreating me, and they didn't have any respect for me, and that was the end of it. And she said, I'd like you to talk to all 4 of these men. And I said, there's only one common denominator here. You are attracting into your life what you are putting your attention on. It's called the Job effect. You can't think about what is missing, and you can't think and put your energy and talk about what is if you don't like what is. Can't do that unless you want more of that to show up. You cannot put your attention or your thoughts or your energy on what always has been. If you put your thoughts or your energy on what always has been is what will continue to show up into your life. What always has been is the wake of a boat. Your life is a boat. It's heading up the river in that direction. And it's heading there at 40 knots. And you're standing on the stern, and you're looking down at the water, and as the boat goes in this direction, here you are looking down into the water, and what do you see? You see the wake. And what is the wake? The wake is the trail that is left behind. That's what the wake of your life is. That's what the wake of the boat is. And if you ask yourself the question, what's driving the boat? What's making this thing head in this direction? The answer is the present moment energy that is being generated by the engine, and nothing more is what's making the boat go in this direction. And then if you ask yourself this key question, is it possible for the wake to drive the boat? Can a trail that is left behind make a boat go in this direction? What's the answer? Impossible, isn't it? And so too is it impossible for the wake of your life, the trail that you've left behind, to be the reason why your life is going in this direction. It is not because of anything that has happened back here. That's an illusion that we live under. What has happened back here is a trail. The choices you make in this moment, and if your thoughts are on what always has been, this is the way we've always done things, this is the kind of person I am, I can't change, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, all of those cliches that have become so much a part of our life, if your thoughts are on what always has been, and you despise what always has been, you will continue to attract more of what always has been, even though you despise it. It works that way.